Trust the Force, Luke.
Sometimes truth isn't good enough.
I feel the need for speed.
Ray, when someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes!
Because it's their time. Their time. Up there. Down here, it's our time. It's our time down here.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the den. We've got a big show tonight. Lots to cover. Daredevil Born Again ended. I don't know, maybe you guys saw that, maybe you didn't. King Z and I definitely saw that. We've been keeping up with it week to week. So let's bring him in and kick things off, because I think we've got kind of a combo idea that we're doing for the night, because it is the end of that first season of Born Again. So we're going to talk about finale episode, and then maybe just kind of go back and give like an overall review of the whole season, like for its entire run there. So if we should run short on time, which we should, and we'll have to pivot to something else.
Yeah,
throw Van Damme movies or something. I don't know.
Throw in some perspective of what season 2 might look like.
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
predictions out there.
I think we have to. I mean, just based on how the show actually ended, I think it lends itself to that kind of discussion. So, yeah, with no further ado, no news in the 90s when we do the Daredevil thing. A little bit of programming information, probably just before we get underway, is this review will have a couple spoilers in it, I'm sure. So if you guys want to watch Daredevil unspoiled, take off, go check it out on Disney Plus or whatever, and then come back and check this out a little bit later. We'd love to have you in the comments section. Let us know what you thought of the show and how it wrapped itself up. But dude, can we do we have the thing? There we are. Okay, we're covered legally now. The legal team said we're good to go. We don't have to pull any punches with this one. I don't know, dude. I just want to take a quick point and be like, dude, you saw the thumbnail from this guy. I'm on like three consecutive episodes not being impressed, so I'm gonna call it meh devil. I don't know, dude. What did you think of the finale? And then we'll get all the bits and pieces to it.
See, we should have some fireworks going off, because I predicted it completely right, that this was just going to be the cliffhanger to lead into the next season. And he took that one deep, folks, over the left field wall.
Yeah. We'll get some fireworks. I got you the spoiler effect. I'll get you some fireworks, and maybe you want some fanfare too, some crowds cheering, maybe some brass marching band kind of stuff. There it is. Yeah. You can just reach off screen and handshake someone. Yeah, all right. We can do that. I'll get in there and do it.
I completely nailed it, but I think this episode was right on par with what it should be. I think one of the issues people are having with Born Again is that they are comparing it to the Netflix one, because it is so ingrained and it had 3 seasons. But I believe this one is its own standalone, bringing back the same cast, canonizing the Netflix series. So they even mentioned what happened in the 3rd season in this season. So I think it's an unjust comparison, because I do believe that this is its own series and it did a fantastic job. I think they lived up to the characters, even like it answers some of the questions from the last episode, how to play out from the fallout of the black and white gala. And yeah, I think it was a great episode. I think it was a great way to wrap up the season, since they did know that there was going to be a season 2 and they kind of had to cut episodes short in this one. I think it was the perfect way to end it. Instead of trying to wrap it up and then start a new story, it just pushes the story further. So I think it works out.
I think for all the reasons you liked it are the reasons I did not like it. So that's a kind of an interesting 2 sides of the coin take I'm about to have. I don't like when shows like this don't resolve a major arc before dumping the cliffhanger on me. And I don't think Muse was a big enough thing to resolve, because it happened too quickly for that to have been like a thing that gets like mini boss status and then flows into the whole, but now the Kingpin's really clamping down with the exercising power thing. So that stuff didn't work for me. I think all the stuff we usually praise worked. We got a very unexpected, for me anyway, because I thought we had said this, we got a very unexpected second dose of the Punisher. So I was down for that. Like, I was okay, cool. He's got the haircut going. It was the haircut and the aftershave. Is that all for me? I thought that their banter's good. I like when Pun and Red get together. That works. I think they went over the top. I think they knew they needed to dial the violence up. So that shit went, you want to talk about going yard? Like, that one's still in orbit. Like that was a blast. Like they weren't effing around with any of the blood and guts on this one. Not a chance.
Yeah.
Was any of that punched.
Yeah, I think one of the things that, of course, I've already talked about how the Muse was misused in this season, but they used them as a stepping stone for the turning of Heather's perspective on things. Yep. That was the whole purpose of the Muse, was to change her perspective, because you saw her start going down a different path and drawing that wedge between her and
it locked her perspective in. I don't think it changed it. It was just like it was what she needed to just be like, okay, now I'm all into that line of thought. So I feel you on that. I think you're right. But again, like you said, I think that could have been a random, unnamed vigilante experience that she had in her office that didn't require any of the other elaborate buildup, because I don't think that helped pay anything off, because in the end he still got his ass kicked and
and it was a waste of one of the best bad guys to go up against
Daredevil. Right. That's what I'm saying. You don't bring the Joker in to pants him real quick and then move on to, I don't know, like a D tier, rogues gallery Batman villain. You just don't, but so I didn't that work. But let's talk about Heather for a quick minute, dude. I hate that fucking character so much. I really do. And I think I hate her twice as much after this episode. She's quickly becoming insufferable. And I'm not even talking about like the coming on as like the mental health commissioner for like the city under the Kingpin's umbrella, like under his like council or whatever. Like that makes sense. She's a prominent psychiatrist in the city. Like that's an appointment that would happen. So it's not that. It's literally the crap that comes out of her mouth in the occasions that she spews it. I'm like, your boyfriend's laying in a hospital bed. He's not delusional, right? And he's telling you some shit you need to know. And you're like, I'll just come back after you've had some rest. Maybe back it down or like dial it down.
Because she even threw it like he was the one getting shot at.
Right.
It's like, but you don't know what he did to upset Poindexter the way he did.
Like she just doesn't stop. It's obnoxious, but it's like and somebody said, I think we had somebody commented on one of our shorts from the Daredevil show saying that the actress is in other stuff and she's really good. I'm like, I get that. Like I'm betting that she is.
I think the reason why we don't like her is because we're meant not to like her. Like she's supposed to be that your boy's girl that you can't stand because she's psycho and she has some stuff going on the side. And that's exactly what she portrayed. And I think it
100%.
Worked out kind of perfect.
I just hate her. Dude, but I just
then maybe they did their job, because we're not supposed to like this character.
True. I mean, I guess that works. I really though, it's like nails, chalkboard, welcome to each other, every time she rolls through.
That hospital scene was pretty intense.
Dude, it was, but it was good stuff. But let's get right into it. So it's the direct fallout from last week's episode. Murdock gets shot at the Black and Tie, like I said. He threw himself in front of a bullet on its way to the Kingpin. So he took a bullet right around here, and this is where I got to get going. Here it goes. And in the next episode, which is the next day, there is no time lapse. Okay, it's the next day, and we know that because we see the Kingpin in his blood-stained suit, which has like a cannonball's worth blood splatter. So that bullet went in and out of Matt Murdock. Fact, right? Blood splattered all over.
Then why didn't it hit him?
Your guess is as good as mine. But the Kingpin and Vanessa are drinking wine by the fire, wearing the blood-soaked clothing later that night, the next morning, whatever. And I'm like, what? Are you guys are actual? I mean, we know you're psychos, but like you're actual psychos. Like you're just having a nice little bottle of Chianti. And
well, the one said, I need it to calm down. Dude, she did say that, and she was drinking scotch,
bro. Whatever it was, hours later, like just stop. And then Murdock gets that shot here. We know this, right? Now, reminder for all the casuals out there: Daredevil is not an X-Men. He is not a mutant. He has no superpowers on that level.
But
of the healing factor,
he was trained in arts where he can heal faster.
Not like Logan. He will out some pain and suffering. I'll give him that. I'll give him all that stuff. He ain't healing up that bullet wound. So when it comes down to the big throwdown later, and I watch him, and he's right-handed, I watch him offhand grab the barrel of a cop's assault rifle and then push it down while he's got two hands on the gun. I'm like, no, sorry, you can't do that. I don't like that. We knew that was going to happen. We were talking about it last week that they were going to Hollywood injury this gunshot wound. So they had to
talk about the physics of that. He didn't have a handle, like a double handle. He had his hand here. So it's an easy push. You don't think this arm is never supposed to be stiff.
It's still it's a grown man versus grown man. It ain't Daredevil versus like a 12-year-old boy. It's like it was a SWAT cop, a dirty SWAT cop who's probably roided up. Let's call a duck a duck.
You could take the most trained soldier and be able to do that to him.
Oh, dude, we'd have to demo that. You have to fly up and we'd have to try that. We're going to unload everything first. We're going to have to try that. We'll try it both ways. We'll each get a turn. But I just thought that was weird. But then even moving past that whole fight scene, like he's doing all the same shit that he would have done had he not gotten shot 24 hours prior.
Hey, as long as the stitches don't bust, he's good.
I'm saying, lost a lot of blood and shit. There's that.
Transfusions.
They got that, but as it turns out, if you reopen the wound and bleed that shit back out, you need another one. And I didn't even see them hanging blood. I think we talked about that. They were hanging fluids and not the. Oh no, that was her. That was Heather when she was cut open and needed the transfusion. They didn't give her one.
Yeah.
Good Lord. But okay, so here's the setup for the we got waylaid, and that was my fault. It's the fallout from the gala. He's trying to tell Kirsten. He's trying to tell Heather. Anybody that'll listen. That he figured out Foggy was drinking the good stuff early because he knew he had a case in the bag. It was a win. So then of course he confronts Vanessa Fisk on the dance floor and realizes it was her that put out the hit on Foggy and on what was the guy's name? Dumb Benny.
Dumb Benny.
Benny. Right. And as the episode kind of goes on, we realize after Murdock finds the old case file, the appeal or the brief that wasn't filed or whatever it was, because Foggy didn't do it, is that Vanessa, that he basically, Dumb Benny had stumbled into some shit about Vanessa's business down at Red Hook. And it was a unique way that it would have basically made it like a sovereign state amongst itself. Like there was an old piece of legislation that would have protected it from law enforcement.
It was a motion to dismiss is what they were looking. He was going to dismiss all charges because he did not commit a crime in the United States because
he
the Red Hook
sovereign territory.
Yeah, it was deemed a free port.
Freeport, thank you.
Yes, deemed a free port, which is a set of land that's designed for ships to come in and be able to trade freely without having to worry about customs and everything like
taxes, interdiction, all that stuff.
Yep. It was set back.
Brings that up.
Yeah, it was set back in like the 1800s.
I think they said in this show they said 1855, but I'm sure that stuff existed.
Yeah, it was in the 1700s for shipping, like the East Indian Company and stuff like that. They had free ports that they could bring stuff into. It was supposed to be a place of peace. So it's like if you say you don't like the country, you'd have a free port where you can still trade and make money with trading with them without worrying about the political side of it. Oh,
Dresden Files. It's Max. It's accorded neutral territory. Shit outside, come in, have a drink, conduct business as civilized signatories of the Accords. Yeah, there we go. It's been a while since we worked that in. But yeah, so it was an interesting plot point. They did build to that, so I like that. They had the Kingpin talking about the need for the Red Hook revitalization project or whatever it was called early on. We didn't know why. It just seemed like a civic project. Well, we had our suspicions,
Well, I thought it was because they were smuggling stuff in there to begin with. Like he said, you made millions smuggling stuff into Red Hook. We're going to make billions.
Right. So we knew they were building towards setting up some that they were going to control that zone, and it was just going to be a sovereign state unto itself that the mayor's office could now control formally, which would put it beyond the reach of anybody except, like the feds, I guess.
Or no, it would be whoever runs it would be in charge of the security and everything like that. It would be a city-state inside of New York.
I mean, in terms of if there was something that the American government wanted to intercede on,
it would have to be military
illegally, or right, exactly. That's what I was getting to. So for this show, it puts it out of the reach of government.
Yeah,
what he's trying to push towards. So that was all right. I didn't mind that so much. I think where I think the highlights of the show clearly were him and Punisher getting back on, and a surprise cameo, which wasn't really a big surprise, especially when Frank says, I got a call. Like who else would it have been, So I thought that was all right. What did you think of her coming back so late? Actually, we said spoilers already, and she's in the thumbnail.
Yeah. I think Karen needed to come back, and they hinted at it in the hospital scene because that's who he really wanted by his bedside. Is who he used to wake up to when he was in these scenes before.
And that's another like negative Heather point, right? It's this dude coming out of his like drug induced like pain management. I got shot, lost a lot of blood, like sleep. And the first thing he says is Karen. And this bitch looks like she thinks that Murdock just kicked her dog. And then Kirsten has to jump in and defend it. Like, oh man, it's the drugs. I'm like, I mean, it is, but like still, like, why are you butthurt that like he said that he asked for Karen as he's coming out of a fog?
And she was talking to him. He thought he was hearing Karen.
Right. Like, get over yourself, Heather. Please. Please, you're obnoxious. I can't wait till you leave the show. I hope you get thrown off a bridge. I'm there, dude. I'm there for her. Like, I hope they throw her off a bridge. They're not gonna do it this year, clearly, because he made it out of that. But I love the banter between Frank and Murdock. Like I said, I love their nicknames. I love their jabs. I love when they don't get along and it looks like they're gonna trade punches. At the apartment sequence, it is shit grenade run, and then Frank knows he doesn't look around. He's just like, okay, runs, jumps off the balcony because he knows Murdock gonna grab him, and he did. He grabbed him around the arm and threw the baton out and hooked him up.
All right, so
then they crashed into a car.
I have two things on that, and these are my negatives for the episode. One, that explosion was way too big for a grenade.
Yeah.
Extremely too big for a grenade. I have thrown live grenades.
And it went off twice.
And then there was a second explosion. Did they kill off what's his name who was stuck to the wall?
Oh yeah,
he's dead. Knocked out.
He's dead. He was in the apartment. Everybody on that floor is dead based on the explosion I saw. Like that whole thing went up.
Yeah. So that was my thing. It was like that was not a grenade. I'm sorry, that was not a grenade.
Right.
That was more like a satchel bomb.
Yeah, and then even then, does it take out the floor? I mean,
if it was a big enough satchel bomb, yeah, because those three of those should scuttle a tank, not a tanker, but a cargo ship.
Yeah.
Four of those placed properly can take down a whole ship. So
definitely because of what they explode with, like a anti-personnel grenade's not going to blow out an entire. Like with a flaming ball of like everything, like no, it's throwing shrapnel at you.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, every cop in that apartment's dead. Frank made sure of that, which was kind of funny.
Minus the one.
Minus the one guy pinned to the wall.
What was it? We talked about him. He was the Cole. Yeah.
He was the one nailed to the wall.
Yeah, and he's the guy who killed Hector. So we tied that up. So some stuff did get resolved in this.
Yeah. No, that wasn't my problem. I don't think it wasn't that they didn't like close the loops to the small stuff. I think, like I said, it's just that if they wasted Muse and the end of this series just sees Daredevil walking into a bar, with like Cherry's there, doesn't say anything. The bartender's there, doesn't say anything. I didn't need her to say anything anyway. The police negotiator's there, but like I was expecting something bigger because he's talking about, you're right, I can't take him on alone, I need an army. Well, bro, you need to show up to the clubhouse where like some other vigilantes are hanging out and not like vanilla human police negotiator and your bartender. Like you got to do a little bit better than that.
And there was a couple other cops in there, but I think that was just the setup for it. This is why some people believe that Luke Cage will be returning in the second one. Plus, there's supposed to be like a limited release of like a Punisher only. These are things that are rumored to be happening. So we might see some of the returning of the Defenders. Not including,
we need a couple of them at least.
Not including that Frank is down there with the swordsman and a whole bunch of billionaires. So
yeah, I have that on my note sheet somewhere. I'll get to that. Let's just get to that now. So like, let me get this straight. A bunch of 1%ers in New York went missing. No one's talking about this. No one went looking for them. They're all just kind of being, Guantanamo Bay'd down in Fisk's basement. Like, I don't know, man. the United Healthcare guy took a bullet in the back and it was on the news for like a week straight. You know what I mean? 10 of these guys go missing. Private security firms are going to look for you. It's just how that is. And maybe that's how they get found. I don't know. Like we really can't probably run that point into the ground just yet because we don't know. But
we also don't know how long they've been down there either.
True. I mean, we can kind of calculate that out if we think about the duration of time that passed between when the gala,
because they were at the gala,
right, swordsman and blonde chick there, Artemis, whatever her name was, and the missing husband, and they had a dude in a tuxedo like laid up down there, so that maybe that was her husband. Who knows?
So they might have been, because I mean, it was no more than 48 hours after the gala that they had the power outage. So
right. Which I thought was an interesting way to kind of drum up some, because that was very Jokerish, Dark Knight, shut the lights off, let people get at each other, scare them into compliance with 8 p.m. curfews. Oh, here's a question for you. Can a mayor of a city declare martial law? Is that a thing? I don't know if they can. I think that's a governor thing.
Yeah, I think it is a governor thing, but the mayor of New York is the most powerful mayor in the world.
100%. 100%, but again, we're sticklers for verbiage and nomenclature and things like that. So I'm like, yeah, you could do the curfew because we've done stupid shit like that. We can do travel bans during inclement weather, which people typically don't respect. But that's I've seen them do it up here in the snow and shit. But he said martial law, and I'm like, well, that means like the military comes in. It doesn't mean your cops can just go out on the street and just shoot kids breaking into storefronts and then planting vigilante masks. I'm like, but I get what you're going for.
And that was before he declared that.
True.
Before he declared.
That's a good point. That was kind of
like he was just a kid. No, he was a mass chip vigilante.
Threw the mask. He threw the ghost face mask down real quick. But that was all right. I like that. I was talking to other people and they said, we're getting this big setup between Frank and Daredevil to take on the task force. And like at the end of the day, we watched the two of them destroy like how many guys that showed up at that apartment, like 15.
Yeah.
And Frank took a pretty good shot to the collarbone, and that was it. Like they ruined everybody that came upstairs. So how many more guys do you think Fisk has? And even if he's got 100 more, like after these guys hear about what happened at the apartment, I'm guessing a whole lot of them back off. And I'm guessing a lot more of them would have backed off after Fisk did his Jax impersonation from MK2. What did you think of that? I know you're a big fan of the gore. What'd you think of that?
Yeah, I was going to do some research on that, but I got caught up with some personal stuff today, so I didn't get to see if it was actually possible. But I was glad that it actually leaned back into the Kingpin's comic book persona and his strength that he has. I mean, the man, he deadlifted a metric ton in the comic books. Yeah. So it's nice to see that they're leaning back into the power that he actually has inside of him. So it's not like superhuman strength, but he is a strong man.
A metric ton would get right up, would brush right up against that, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I just remember it had like 500s on it.
Yeah, for sure.
Lifted it up.
I think I have an old like series too. You remember the Marvel comic cards from back in the day?
Yeah.
I think he actually had that. Like that was in his stats. It was like borderline superhuman strength. And I get it. It's a comic book. It's supposed to have shit like that. So when if he goes all watermelon squishy on a dude's jaw and gets the scalp, that was nasty. That was nasty. Woo.
The commish is the commish no more.
But see, again, so the Kingpin murders this dude in front of 15 people. Let's call it 15 people. Just 15 people, right? Not all 15 people there are going to be okay with that. You know what I'm saying? Like
it looked like the guy who drove him there was having a little bit of an issue with it. Who's also part of the task force.
Issue with it too, which I thought was a little weird, but that's not going to be a thing. But there were a couple of people, like you said, like the driver that wasn't his regular guy, and Gallows should never have gotten that fucking car. That's his own fault. He should have known better. I'm going to victim blame on that one. Like they all watched that shit. I'm like, all right, so you've now got like living witnesses. This is a thing, right? So any 2, 3, or 4 of them that go to the FBI and say, "Hey, this shit happened," like that opens an investigation. That's just how that happens in real life. You know what I mean? So like, I don't necessarily buy all that. And then even on top of that, it's like anything else. If the police commissioner died today in a car crash, right? the deputy commissioner or whatever steps into the role immediately. So it's
And
not like
that might be
you know,
one of Fisk's guys, though.
maybe, but I mean, can we get some setup to that effect? Can we see that? Can we see a political opponent rising? I think my problem here is, like I said, I don't think I like 10 episode shows anymore. Like there's not enough to make all of these things stick for me because it has to go through so quickly. It just it's too fast now. You know, we don't get any of those landing spots where we can reconsider options and look into what happens next.
Yeah, and a lot of it's like 2 or 3 second things, like the whole power outage. It was like him saying, "Send in our friend from there," and then you see the guy from the power company walking into his office. That was the whole thing of that. Yeah. So
cool, in these, I appreciate that. I like that. I'm down for that. That's what I'm saying.
In these smaller shows, you have to catch stuff like that. Like you have to pay more attention because it's going to be a lot more subtle. It's going to be a lot quicker because they have to get through so much stuff. So some things might be left out. Like we don't need to see Kingpin driving from the gala to his house. We don't need to see Matt in the ambulance.
I never want to see travel time unless literally it's Heather bleeding out in the ambulance and Matt has like the crisis of faith conversation with God. Like that's a scene I could go for that, even if she doesn't die, you know. But yeah, the regular, like the limo trip from, what was it, episode 2 after Fisk wins the mayor, where they stop and he fixes the pothole. There was a point to that there was the entire point of that entire drive was to get to that pothole where they're discussing about how we're going to get results quickly because I promised it, and then boom, opportunity to execute on that, and then bang, resolution. Like that makes sense. I'm with that. But yeah, dude, that's not the feelings in hallways gag that we kind of have where we mention that. Feelings in hallways, feelings in the kitchen, feelings in the elevator. Nobody gives a shit. Feelings at the mall, feelings on the golf course. Nobody cares. It has to have a point. It has to drive story forward, develop character, or like hint at what's going to come next. You know? Yeah. So yeah, I don't need those. I'm just saying I would like a higher volume of the connective stuff that makes those kind of scenes more interesting. That way I can kick them around in my brain and be like, wait, what did he mean when he said that? What do you think that, you know what I mean? Like I'd like a little bit more depth. Not much, maybe another episode or 2. And dude, for $200 million, like, you know what I mean? Make it happen, Captain. Make it happen. You know?
And I think the second season will be able to explore more. You won't have to do the rewrites because you guys were just making garbage, and it didn't make sense. So they had to come in, and that's where Charlie Cox and Vince D'Onofrio came in, and they reshot 1, 8, and 9. It's been confirmed. Those were the reshoots. Oh, good. You know,
like, I guess like thematically, those were some of the ones that worked out the best because they involved critical, massive plot points like Murdock getting shot, like the big reveal that it was Vanessa that put the hit on. That they start hinting at that. They confirm it at the end, and then that's when he takes the bullet. And then they drive everything home in this episode with the hyper violence with Frank and, you know, all the other stuff at the end of the episode. But there was some missing stuff along the way when it wasn't Kingpin torturing Adam, or when it wasn't Matt beating the crap out of the 2 cops in the apartment, which is still probably my favorite scene in the show. That was awesome. That's still my favorite bit, I think. But this episode, like there were just a couple of those things that I think they missed from me. Like, what? How did Frank get captured? Explain this to me. Where did he go? Did he go to Red Hook by himself?
He did, because he was there listening to the radio, and he was like, he was going, and then he took out, like, I'd say 8 by himself.
Oh, dude, at least.
But before he got wrapped up, and the guy hit him in the back 3 times with a shotgun that hit his armor. And, you know, the body armor will protect you, but it still hurts.
Oh, dude, it's like getting hit by a car.
And then the
couple shots, and they beat the crap out of him.
And then also depending on the shells that they were using, it would depend on like slugs. What, like if it was slugs or was it birdshot?
A birdshot. Would birdshot have even slowed him down with that kind of vest?
No. Yeah, when he gets into his adrenaline rage, which they portrayed perfectly in this.
Yeah, Bernthal runs that character. He's
that was one of the things I said. I'm like, Punisher and Daredevil are ruined now because no one else can ever play them.
Yeah, no, I'm good at, like, when these shows go away, they can go away for a decade before, you know, like I want to be in my 60s at least before they talk about bringing them back, because I think Bernthal does that raw adrenaline fueled like anger when that stuff pops up. But it, like, let's talk about big pun for a minute there. Like, he walks in to get himself captured to what effect? Like, if he was going to go there and wreck shit, your big plan was slowly approach 3 armed guards, wait for the 4th one behind you that you know is there, but you're playing like you didn't, to like judo reversal him into getting his gun, and then you start shooting, and one of these assholes goes non-lethals only. Then you shoot 8 of their guys, like you said, and they're still committed to the non-lethal.
Dude, the axe to the head, where he threw that axe and nailed that dude in the head.
Oh, dude, Black Ops up in here. It was crazy.
Yeah, that was a sweet scene. The fight choreography in both this scene and in Matt's apartment scene was great. It was great that they brought back the fight coordinator from season 1 to really work this stuff out. And it's someone that both Matt and John trust. Charlie and John trust. Also, Vince D'Onofrio trust them. I mean, they've all worked together. So bringing in someone you trust to do these type of stunts really does help. And it looks like they all put in their individual work to make sure the scenes looked authentic. Like they put in their extra effort into these. But yeah, that scene with Punisher going into Red Hook by himself and getting caught. And then them trying to convince him to serve with them.
But dude, this is what I'm saying. Like, you're the anti-vigilante task force. Your boss hates vigilantes. On what planet did he tell Powell, convert the Punisher, we can put him on the payroll? That was going to be a thing.
It's the same reason that the BAU hires serial killers. How do you get into a serial killer's mind?
Yeah, dude.
Talk to serial killers.
But that's something normal people do to be able to capture serial killers. The Kingpin's not normal. He hates vigilantes. He's going to kill Powell for trying this shit. Actually, he's not, because we already know the Kingpin walked by the Punisher when he was in his little jail cell and shit. No, let's talk about the jail cell. After credits scene. Is that the dumbest fucking guard in the history of dumbest fucking guards? Honestly. Honestly. Like, my 9-year-old would know better than to approach the very open area on the cage where the food tray gets slid through and then stick your hand in it. You idiot, dude, hold up. That's the reason we got to have warnings on coffee, on all kinds of hot shit around here, because of idiot guards like that. That's why.
They did set it up, to be completely honest. He told them that these men, like, they look up to you, they follow you, they're big fans of you. So he played into it.
No, I get it. He did.
Because it might be like, oh, he's calming down. Maybe we can talk to him again. Maybe we can convince him now.
Dude, no, you can't. It's the Punisher. He let 30 of you like zip time to a chair and beat the crap out of him. He's not normal. He's not the guy. No, he's the guy. He's not your guy. He's not going to be your guy. He thinks you're scum. He called you clowns while restrained after you started punching on him. Like, yeah, that shit's never going to happen. But I'm glad they at least, that's an interesting enough cliffhanger for me. Like, we know he's going to get the keys and he's going to spring himself and then all shit's going to pop off. So, like, I'm down for knowing that that's going to happen. Like, that's cool. Like, I'm okay with that. I think my esteem for the episode would have been a probably another point down if it had just left Frank in a box downstairs with the other 1%ers. Instead of like, okay, this is like, what's the plan here?
And I do believe this is the first Marvel show that has a post-credit scene.
Oh shit, dude, you're right. Dude, you know what it is? Because we get the violence in this show, I keep thinking it's an HBO show.
Yeah.
So it didn't, like, when I skimmed the timeline on the bottom when I was watching to get past just to see like where it ended, you know, credit wise, I was like, oh shit, there's more. But I was like, oh, it's HBO. There's always more. And then I'm looking for cast and direction and shit. They don't have that. You know? Yeah.
So we, like, we paused it right when the credits started. I'm like, there has to be something more. There's 6 minutes left, unless they have 6 minutes of credits. And there's no way there's 6 minutes of credits.
Oh, dude, some of these Disney Plus shows have had 6 minutes of credits, dude. Secret Invasion, one of them had like 9. The Acolyte had one that was like 9 for sure.
So I sat there and started pushing, and then it like was a black screen. I'm like, there it is, and just
there it is. Dude, that was solid. I like that. Dude, did you see where when the Kingpin and Vanessa is sitting down to eat dinner, they got the Adam brain matter painting behind them?
No, that's not Adam. That is the Kingpin's blood from season 3 when he got shot at his wedding by Poindexter. It's called the White Rabbit.
Oh, dude, I thought that was that in the cell where they kept Adam?
Yes. Yeah, that was down there the whole time.
Okay.
It was the first
my
thing
bad.
she looked at when he brought her down there the first time when Adam was still alive.
Oh, dude, I missed that completely, and I don't remember that from season 3. I thought
Yeah,
that
I
was
even brought
when
it up in the
when she
review.
domed him. What?
Yeah, I brought it up in the review.
I did. I don't remember what I had for lunch. Yeah, to cut me some slack on that. Yeah, I thought that was his brain matter from when she double tapped him or triple tapped him, or whatever she did. Okay, never mind, retracted. But it's still kind of weird that that's the centerpiece that you're eating in front of. I'll leave it at that.
Because it's
Still kind of
from their
weird.
wedding.
Psychos. Okay, cool. I'm glad you're there to keep them small details organized and whatnot. Yeah, dude, I don't, like, what else is there in the episode to really cover? I mean, we covered the great choreography. Karen came back. They figured out why the Red Hook thing was a big deal. Bullseye's out in the wind still. I mean, that's a loose thread. That's kind of cool.
Back to the cinematography that I talked about last week. It's that opening scene, because they started back at the gala before Matt gets shot, and they're zeroing in on Poindexter, looking through the scope and how it shot it around, and then you can see his eye, which is a callback to the first episode when he killed Foggy. You saw the same thing with his eye, and then you also saw that it was blue. There's the hum that he hears, that so you're in his perspective, which I love their use of color, and like you have blue for Bullseye, red for Daredevil, and white for Kingpin. Right. So like the way they use the color in this fits to what they're trying to portray. And then you see the shot, and of course Matt diving in front of him, and going back to the apartment and the banter between Punisher, and he's like, "Why did he save that guy?" And he's like, "I don't know." Which it was good. Go ahead. I think he was just reacting, gunfire, jump, and
he's a hero.
If he knew, he kind of knew he was going for Kingpin, but still, like, what if it was Heather that it would have hit?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to hate that, but I'm wired different.
Yeah.
And I do love their banter. Remember when Punisher pointed out that there was a van of assholes out front. Did you clock them? And Matt's like, yeah, I did. And he says, when they come up here, what did he say? I'm not coming up here to play, what did he say? Play patty cake or whatever he said. He said, I'm going to cut these fuckers up or whatever he says.
Yeah.
And then Matt kind of pushes himself up off the chair. Like he's moaning and groaning. He's at the hospital, Johnny. He's going to get changed. And Frank says something like, oh, wait, you're not going to do this with your ass hanging out. And Murdock just throws him the bird as he's walking away. That was funny. That's legitimate comedic timing. I like that.
Yeah, it was like, is that your new costume? Are you like hospital gurney man now?
He called him hospital gown man. Yep, it was good. That shit's funny. I like that. That stuff did work.
Yeah, and then they also went back a year ago, even though they had the time frame a little bit off, that Karen got right when they were looking for the motion. They said it's here followed about a year and a half ago, but when they did the flashback scene, it was said a year ago, but it's technically a year and a half when she went to put the hit out on Froggy and get Poindexter out. Like, she pulled some strings, got him a full release from a mental institution that all he had to do was sign due to appeal.
Yeah. That's not how any of that works on a psych hold. Believe that.
No, Oracle, who's not with us tonight, she brought up a point too, is that the medic pulls down the pill, still standing there, and she just pulls it away while he's standing there.
Nope. Dude, I need you to do the once per show memory jog for me, right?
Okay.
If Vanessa hired Bullseye to shoot Foggy and Dumb Benny,
yes.
why did Fisk move him out of isolation and into Gen Pop?
So they would kill him.
But why? What was Fisk's motivation for doing that at all?
To close the loop, because remember when he was talking to Vanessa in this episode when they were drinking, when you were like, the problem with him drinking wine and her drinking bourbon to settle down from being shot at. He said, when I first did this, I wanted to save New York, but then opportunities arose. And that's when he found out the importance of Red Hook. So, and he's like, I need to tell you that I already know. I know you put the hit out. So you know that
he wanted Bullseye killed just to close a loose end,
the loop, to make sure she's protected and that the whole Red Hook thing doesn't come on someone else's radar, so they can do what they were going to do.
All right.
Like you said,
That works.
a opportunity has arose.
Yep. Yeah, he did kick it into the slow cadence. He definitely did that, which was funny to see that play off against the whole, no due process, no warrants. You're condoning violence. No, I'm not condoning it. I'm expecting it or whatever he said. I'm like,
Yeah.
fucking pump the brakes. Again, there's a room full of fucking witnesses, including Sheila, who we have to talk about. Okay. Because she proved to be a bigger dirtbag than Daniel.
Yeah.
Because she set Gallo up, right?
She set Gallo up. She
She
recorded their
listening on her
conversation,
phone. Okay.
and
Yes. Okay.
that's
I
why
just
she
wanted
was
to make
standing
sure that it
outside
wasn't-
the door listening.
Yes. Okay. Just making sure. I want to make sure it wasn't that the hallway was bugged and he was listening on his own phone. I'm like, nope. We've seen her phone, and then we see her later getting all emotional as he's having the meeting where he's going to blackmail other members of the council with, oh, what about that $500,000 in this bank account? Daniel had the council. She was somebody. I don't remember. There were two people.
The speaker of the council.
Thank you. And then there was like one other dude who didn't really have much to say, but he was going to get the
deputy
same treatment,
speaker.
obviously. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, Sheila, scumbag.
Yeah.
Complicit in a murder. Oh, let's talk about complicit in murders. So Murdock gets a bunch of guards killed, springing bullseye, and doesn't say not one word of that.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's a little odd for a guy like Matt Murdock, who kind of takes the whole justice thing seriously. Like, your own selfishness got these guys killed. It kind of did. Like at least 3 people. Just saying. And then the guy that you sprung shot you.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. That's episode 9, I guess. I don't know.
Episode
How do you
9.
want to episode 9? Dude, do you want to score the episode and then we just kind of talk about the season for a bit? What do you want to do? We got 20 minutes at least.
Yeah, and we got to talk about season 2. What we expect from season 2. Surprises and well too early prospecting.
Let's score this episode first so we can turn the page, and then we'll get your predictions for season 2, because I think you're plugged into this on a deeper level than I am. So this episode out of 10, just as an episode, not necessarily as a finale, kind of like what we did with Last of Us, but in reverse.
7.
7, 10,
7,
what?
7, easy.
Oh, dude, I thought you meant the episode number. I'm like, no, it wasn't. Okay, it was a 7 out of 10 as an episode. Okay, easy 7, lower than I thought you were going to come in with. Okay, what about as a finale episode type? Any better, worse, same?
As a finale, I would put it at 8.5.
Okay, so a little bit up. That's what I was expecting.
Because it's exactly what you need to set up the second season that you already know is greenlit.
Yep, true. Or blinking red lit, as the case may be. When you were talking about color, I forgot to mention that closing shot of Daredevil through the pit newspaper window in the bar is a blinking red light, like a fucking warning light. I'm like, okay, missile lock. Here we go. Let's look. There it is. So color was definitely a thing there. I'm surprised you've talked pretty highly of it, so I'm surprised you only went 7 as an episode. Where did you lose points, do you think?
The grenade.
That's I can see that as a,
and then the lagging of the attention of the orderly. I think that was pretty bad. Just don't let someone take someone's pills away.
Nope. Not in front of me anyway. That would be a no-no.
Little missteps here and there. I think overall it's still a great episode. I think the season delivered on what it was supposed to, which we'll get to that in a second. And for a finale, I think it really set up that season. It shows what the stakes are. They're fighting for the heart of New York. They're fighting for everybody. So I think it did great.
Okay. Yeah. Dude, I'm gonna come in a little lower, I think, as an episode, because I really don't like the Heather character. The grenade stuff was weird. The orderly thing was weird. I didn't like the time jump, like where they showed in flashback Vanessa talking to Bullseye. Like, I think that could have been handled probably differently. It was a bit too abrupt and jarring in the middle of things happening. I think the gala itself told me everything I needed to know about that. I didn't need to know the specific mechanism of how she was able to move him here, there, or anywhere else. So I don't know if that was a little weird. Fight choreography was great. You got to give it all the points for that stuff. If I take anything off there, it's because, like I said, you don't get shot like significantly and then have that fight the next day. You just don't. That's a little weird. But he's a superhero. He's got some abilities, whatever. He can do that a little bit. Violence over the top. right where I wanted it to be. Did you see that one really nasty? I think it was like a throat jab in the apartment that Punisher laid on. And then when he flicked the blade out, like stuff came with it. I don't think it was just blood. I think he got that dude's esophagus. That's all I'm saying. like I think he got up in there and shimmied it out.
And then
nasty and wet looking.
Did you catch that Matt unknowingly killed one of the cops?
Which one did he kill?
So he was there. The guy had the gun, and he pushed the gun, and he shot the dude in the throat. That was right there by the Punisher.
Yeah, shit happens. But things were popping off in that dude's apartment at that point. All bets are off. Like when he's Punisher's telling me, kill Cole.
Is this guy worth it? Is this guy worth it?
What about this one? Blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, that's funny. That's some dark comedy that I'm in for, because that shit's funny. Like Murdock threw himself in front of another. Frank said it too. Yeah. Is you gonna throw yourself in front of this asshole too? What the hell's going on?
In front of another bullet.
It was good shit. So I did like that. I think that all that stuff worked for me. Those two together, dude. I'd watch that spinoff, honestly. Like if they did. You remember how I don't think you were on the channel yet when we were doing like some old Marvel stuff. Do you remember Werewolf by Night?
I did not watch it. Yeah, I did not watch it.
Dude, go back and watch that. You'd like it on a craft level. I really think you'd like it because it's shot in black and white. Their shot selection is very old timey. It's pseudo melodramatic to kind of capture that vibe too in a lot of the dialogue. Dude, it has organ stingers for like when plot points hit at a couple places. So it's cool. I would definitely watch a 1 hour special or like a 70-minute special of these two teaming up of Punisher and Daredevil, just like completely unrelated to this show. It could just be a what if or a one-off that just happens before the show. That way it doesn't interrupt season 2. It doesn't have to be about the Kingpin. It could be whatever. They could fight zombies. I wouldn't give a shit. They need these two guys working off of each other because they're funny. Like I'd be 100% down for that. As a finale episode, I'll go up. I'm not going to go up. I'm going to keep my slightly lower than your score. If you gave it a 7 as a regular episode, I got to give it a 6. And if you gave it an 8.5 as a finale, I got to give it a 7 on that. I think I'll give it all the points that I gave for all the violency stuff and the high points that we had, like the fighting and shit. But as a finale, I don't think they wanted the Empire Strikes Back vibe. The bad guys are holding all the cards. We're outnumbered. Hans and Carbonite, this and that. It didn't get there for me because number one, they showed Frank getting out or, on his way to getting out. Matt's already getting the people he needs, so he's not left at his lowest point. Like imagine if they killed Karen in this episode at the end. Ooh, that's some Crisis of Faith shit. You know what I mean? Or if Heather turned his back on him, like for real. At the end of this episode, like when he sees her sign the deal with the Kingpin, because that was like a press conference thing because they shook hands and there were photographers and shit. So if it ended with that at him at a low point, that'd have been good. But as it is, like he's got Karen, they found the information that they needed. He's got a safe house at the bar. I guess
it's the unspeakable character, the unspoken character is at their lowest point, and that's the city of New York. You always have to take the location and as a character itself, especially a city like New York that is so important to the Marvel universe. Because, I mean, how many heroes live in New York or operate out of New York?
All of them.
So you have to think that the lowest point isn't going to be one of the speaking characters. It's the non-spoken character. It's the city that's at its lowest point.
Then to challenge that point, then I think what they really needed was more bad shit happening on the ground during the blackout. We saw some low-level riot-y kind of stuff. People were having like fireworks and there was a fire somewhere, but like BB interviewed one person and he was like, some people are just watching, some people are burning shit, other people are boarding up windows. Not enough. And again, like you were saying earlier, that's like that thing where if you're paying attention, you catch it so you see it. But I needed more of that. Like BB should have been like on the ground at a riot or at a store being looted or at a murder scene at a looting. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
it doesn't look like it's suffering all the way to me yet.
I think a lot of that got cut due to time. I mean, it was already an hour long. I didn't think
Did it really go that long?
Yeah, it was 59 minutes and 48 seconds was the runtime.
Oh, dude, then like we were talking about The Last of Us the other day, I didn't notice. Like maybe I need to score it up a point just on that basis alone after hearing.
Yeah, when I saw the time, I'm like, that's how you do a finale. That's the time frame you need for a finale when you don't have to worry about commercials.
For sure. I mean, they packed their time in with enough interesting stuff for it to go. I think, like I said, for me, I think this show walks right up to the line of what I need for it to be really great. And then it's like, cool, we carried it to the finish line. Like, we're good, but we're just going to stop now. Like, we're not going to break the plane, right at the end zone, but we're just going to fall. It's there. Just going to reach for the pylon. But yeah, so I'll give it a 7. Not that I'm out on season 2 either, but tell me about season 2. Like, Kingpin's got all the cards. Like I said, what do we do now? Who's the other villain? Who's he throwing fists with? What do you think?
So I think Buck will be turning more into a supervillain as well. I think he's going to be changed.
Can he do that?
I think they can, yeah. Because I mean, they technically put a cognium, which is actually animanium. They just couldn't use the name inside Poindexter. That's why he lived from him being thrown off the roof.
Is Buck that guy in the comics though, or is he a construct of this show?
I don't know.
Okay, all right. That's what
I believe him.
Okay.
If it's who I think it is, if you watch Spider-Man the animated series, he was in that when Kingpin was building the Spider Hunter robot.
Oh yeah, I remember those. Okay,
yeah,
so maybe they're pulling from some lore somewhere to like look into that, and we'll circle back.
Some of the stuff that they can pull from is also on the Netflix that they own, like characters like Luke Cage, Iron Fist.
Yeah. Jessica Jones.
Danny Rand is the guy who played Danny Rand's begging for a chance to redo the character because he says he wants to do it right. And so I don't think Jessica Jones would come back. I think Jessica Jones could be recast. Technically, it should be a 6'2" black woman, which I think that would be great because she's supposed to actually marry Luke Cage in the comic book, or Power Man. But I think Luke Cage is much better.
Yeah, they're never going to say Power Man in 2025. Never.
Yeah.
It's one of those cheese names that just doesn't work.
If anyone comes back, I can see that it would be Luke Cage coming back.
Yeah,
they hinted at him because they did have billboards you saw for Harlem's Paradise, which is his club, because at the end of season 2, he becomes the club owner of Harlem's Paradise.
Right.
So
I'd be down for that. More street level folks showing up to join Daredevil's needed army, as he said.
Plus, you have Frank going to be loose down in there in the basement with other people locked up. Some of them are vigilantes. And you could get those. Like, you could get your army, and I think that was one of the things Frank was thinking about as well when he heard what was going on at Red Hook on the radio. Like, he found out where they were, and that's why he went down there.
But I mean, they didn't say that we had 15 vigilantes in custody.
No, they didn't. But he found out
the base.
He knows who they are, what their purpose
he was
is.
tracking them. Like, that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Fucking bunker with like all the strings attached to pictures on the wall and everything. So he's not down there playing Xbox. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. I do believe they are going with more episodes. I don't think they're going to go with like the full 18 like they planned for season 1. I think they'll go around 12.
Dude, see, I think that's a great compromise, because what did I say an hour ago when we started? I need like 2 more. Give me 2 hours, and like not bottle episodes. Like, I think we both have our opinions on the bottle episodes. They can be as great as they want to be, but if they're not pushing the main story forward, I don't care. I don't need to see Matt Murdock's accident that blinded him at this point. It'd be like, yeah, we know Uncle Ben dies. We know how Batman's parents dies. We know what happens to Pa Kent. Other people, like as many people, probably don't know how Matt Murdock lost his eyesight, or that his dad was a boxer, was throwing a fight or whatever. But at this point, do you need that for this character?
Well, if you want to see it, go back and watch season 1 on it's on Disney Plus now. You can watch all 3 seasons of the Netflix Daredevil unedited, so you could go and catch it as it was shown on Netflix, and you can get the origin story, which they did as a flashback while they were telling the main story instead of just having that origin episode, which I'm sick of origin episodes.
Dude, I mean,
unless it's someone I don't know, I would.
Right, but that's what I mean. But this guy's had 4 episodes. He made an appearance in She-Hulk. He made an appearance in Endgame. Like the actor's on the radar as being like a hotly anticipated addition to Doomsday. Like, if this dude's not in Doomsday, people are going to be pissed. And I don't think his name was on the back of one of them chairs.
No, it wasn't.
If he's there, he's unannounced. And we know
more than likely he'll be in Secret Wars Battle World. Like, this New York might be pulled into Battle World.
No, they should find a way to put him in both. He's one of the few likable people they have on the roster. I mean, the MCU roster, not not like Marvel in total. Like, just I think people like this guy in this role.
Yeah.
So yeah. So do you think? Let me pitch you a question or a story angle here for season 2. Do you think sooner or later Vanessa tries to screw Fisk over? Or are they back together like power couple? Like, that's it. They're locked in.
Yeah, I think they're locked in.
Yeah, I think if she was going to do it, she would have shot him in front of Adam's cage, kind of thing.
Yeah, while they were still in therapy.
Yeah. Okay. Second relationship question. What do you think happens with Matt and Heather?
They split, and he ends up with the person he's supposed to, which is Karen, even though Punisher's in love with her.
Not a bad scene that we didn't talk about, actually. Though, like when they're at the record storage, and they were talking about the heartbeats and hearing things, and what did you think, and were you jealous and this and that. They didn't lay that on thick, so I thought that was okay. There was enough tension there. There was definitely tension with the coffee in Frank's bunker. But that was all right.
We all know what hot coffee really means.
Yeah. It means sooner or later this dude's gonna kill you in his sleep. That's what he's gonna kill you in his sleep after, because he broke him like that. But yeah, no. Good predictions for season 2. I don't know what I want to see from season 2, if I'm being honest. I just know that whatever happens in 2, whether or not they get greenlit for 3, who knows? I need a definitive story ending for this arc. And even if it's not the ultimate defeat of the Kingpin, like if he escapes, police custody because there's a new commissioner or the task force turns against him, whatever it is, like I just need him to be not mayor at the end by whatever reason, so they can do something new going into season 3. Like I need it to be resolved in season 2. Like put a bookmark on it and call it, Like I think they just need to wrap that whole arc up. And how do they get him to not be mayor in the books? Like how does that arc conclude in the books?
I'm gonna have to go back and check that out. I don't remember.
Yeah, like I don't think it was ever like a Daredevil killed him thing. Like,
but I mean, even was it Norman Oswald became the head of S.H.I.E.L.D.
True.
In the comic book, so
everybody's been the leader. I mean, Lex Luthor's been the president. I think Fisk was president once. Who knows? They definitely play. But I always like to know how those stories resolve, and the heroes come out on top, because this isn't like Daredevil's not supposed to end bleakly. Like he's supposed to win.
Yeah,
classic Marvel era character. It's not an Image character from the '90s, where all the darkness that's within the that's within the title, he's gonna win. So yeah, I think I need more of a finite, more of a conclusive ending than I think that we got this time. But not bad, dude. I tell people to watch it. I tell people they can watch it and understand without going back to watch, 3 seasons on Netflix. You'll definitely get more out of this episode, this run, because you'll get some of the history and why Fisk takes him so personally, with the getting his ass kicked a few times, stuff like that. So yeah, I would tell people to watch. I would definitely tell people to watch. I'm glad She-Hulk wasn't in it. Oh yeah, confirmed. No She-Hulk and Daredevil. Yay!
Yeah. And then at the very end of the credits, they confirmed season 2. They said Daredevil will return in season 2. So therefore, we know he won't be in Doomsday.
How does that work out?
Usually in the movies, they always say when they're going to return. Like the
you're talking about like real life chronologically wise. Yeah, true.
Yep. Because like in the Captain America, it was like Captain America will return. In the Avengers
will return. The Avengers will return. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. All right.
Yeah. And it had like Daredevil will return in season Born Again season 2.
True. Which would be if they got their crap together instantly, would come out in what, 27?
No, they wrap in 2 weeks.
Oh, they were Johnny on the spot with that already?
Yeah, they started filming last month.
Oh, dude. Well, yeah, he'll next be in that, but he could also be in Doomsday still. They probably haven't called in everybody for that yet. Right? Are we doing test shots with RDJ in that crappy Dr. Doom suit that I've seen pictures floating around about? Just saying. Maybe they're just trying to fake us out. I don't know. But yeah, no, good run. It was definitely a good run of a show. Didn't hit all the way for me, but I'd still say to watch it. I think a lot of other folks are coming down really hard on the show, and that's fine. That folks can have their opinions. I think the craft of it alone makes it better than the last 3 Marvel shows we've watched and reviewed on the channel.
Combined.
Combined.
Yeah, as a series, it's definitely an 8 or 9. compared to what
It's better than
compared to other Disney Marvel stuff. I would say it's a 10. Compared to what I know it could be, it'd be an 8 to 9.
I'll go a point lower. I'll give it a 7 based up against its potential. Is I think where I'd be. But you're right. You're dead on balls accurate. Right against other Disney Marvel stuff like the fucking Acolyte or She-Hulk. Like no, at least the story narratively made sense. It didn't insult my intelligence any point along the way. I don't think it ruined any of the characters. I know some people think that the Kingpin got kind of a rough deal being like broken Kingpin still and not always the angry guy crushing skulls and shit like that. But whatever. I mean, I can go along with the ride for the the character as long as they eventually become who they are, and he did in this episode.
Yeah,
I call it the TLJ thing. Like you can do broken Luke Skywalker thing, but he has to have redemption then and there. You know what I mean? You can't punt on that. And there's only so many degrading things you can have him do. Like the Kingpin was never degraded. You know what I mean? In the shows run. So it was solid. So yeah. Programming notes from King Z. What is next? Because I think we're done with Daredevil. Clearly.
We're done with Daredevil. We have Last of Us. The first episode was aired on Sunday. So we are doing our reviews and dropping those on Tuesday. These are recorded reviews so that we will not be live for that. And then Andor starts next week on Tuesdays. But right. Since it's doing a 3-episode drop for a 4-week span, we will be watching it throughout the week, recording our thoughts on Friday and posting it throughout the weekend. So you'll catch that at that time. Frostcast starting next week is going back to our normal format where we will be talking about all stuff in the nerdverse, bringing up hot topics and giving you hot takes that you love.
I think that's going to make for a very busy month and a half for us, even with the accelerated Andor stuff. So yeah, I think without any further ado, we got to get out of here, man.
And not including WrestleMania is this weekend and the NFL draft is next weekend. So
cover those on King Z's second channel that doesn't exist yet. Bye.
Yep. Well, everybody, thanks for joining us. We love talking about Daredevil. Please leave us your comments on what you thought of the show. And well, see ya.